Unfortunately, we have to discuss the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. Actually, this is a huge problem. So the actual numbers, the official numbers, the total casualties is a little over 40,000. But I will, not to scare anyone, but I will probably stick to what I believe the actual number is. That number is going to be close to 300,000 because they cannot actually reach out to everyone yet.
There's still a lot of people missing.
A lot of people missing. So exactly. So because of that, this is going to take a little bit more time for us to get to where we need to be. Now, as United Medical ACO, we will be starting a fundraising with our providers, physicians in our network. We, from the corporate level and the personal level, we already started the donations, but they need a lot more. So and I was trying to get into this last week, but it's time is kind of like sensitive, and it's not an easy one. Everyone is trying to actually find out where their friends are, families are, and also they may be personally in trouble already. So, but the issue is the jeopardy of another earthquake is not gone. So just because we had one doesn't mean that we won't have another one in 2 weeks.
You saw two on that same event.
So, but I mean, in different parts of Turkey. Actually, the part that I'm more concerned, not necessarily because of any other reason other than there are more people in a very small area, is Istanbul. Istanbul already had an earthquake. The latest one was 1999, if I'm not mistaken. And then since then, what has been done or how much progress they have, I don't know if there's enough work, preparation is done. So I want to explain something to you, Sean, and then through you for the other people.
Sure.
So every time we have crisis or situations, I have this very simple chart that you probably have seen it. The title usually is current situation and ideal state. So, and you can use this for anything and everything. So very simple. So one part of the chart, you put the current situation, and the other side of the chart, you put the ideal state. And in the middle, you put the barriers. So barriers is important because there are barriers that you can actually remove, and then there are barriers that you are not in control of removing. Then it will help you to analyze where you are and where you want to be. So the situation right now we have in this region is so horrible that we don't want to have this type of situation again, meaning that so many people lost their lives and so many people are missing, so many people are injured. So ideal state for us, for any nation, is prevent the damage, like decrease the damage, eliminate the damage, whatever you want to call it. So one thing that we are not in control of is the earthquake. Earthquake is going to happen. Just like when we discussed this, and I'm going to repeat myself again and again and again, because I think these are so important. If you don't repeat these enough, or if you don't actually, in some cases, maybe exaggerate these, people don't listen. So I had to do a little bit more research, and that's why also timing wasn't the best last week, because I want to make sure that before we actually analyze the whole situation, we need to make sure that everyone does their homework. When I'm going to go back to my chart of the current situation and ideal state, what does that mean is that, okay, what can I do today to get me to the ideal state, which is the prevention and the elimination of the damage, not the earthquake, the damage. So the project called Urban Transformation is one of the big elements of the prevention. And I believe a lot of good work has been done, but it's still very slow. And then this is what we have to make sure that we are doing today to prepare for the next.
Right.
So we have done so many of these sessions, and sometimes I keep saying the same thing. I don't want to be right when I make some projections based on what we have, because we're not guesstimating, we are estimating. So therefore we are projecting. So the projection is that, and I'm running this video because right now the earthquake is so fresh, everyone is focusing on what's happening today.
Mm-hmm.
And it's horrible. Like this morning, I cried again because there was and I told you about that, and I sent it to all. These little kids, they're refusing extra help because they want other kids to benefit from it. That's way too emotional, and don't watch those in the morning, I can tell you. However, there's a bigger responsibility that we have, greater obligation that we have, why we are in this situation. Mm-hmm. And this is actually something like in a different way we are going to cover in the next 15-20 minutes, but we have something happen in the United States, and then that could have been prevented. So like what happened in Ohio. So now, while government is pushing the urban transformation, I'm going to share some of these with you guys. And then some of them are not everything that I'm saying is coming from those videos, but the residents, the 84 buildings. This is in Tozkoparan, Istanbul. 84 buildings, housing of 900 households, waiting to be demolished. But this has to be forceful by the police because people didn't want to leave. So what I'm trying to say is that when you are trying to improve, and we know that there has to be consequences, right? So we know that we have to go through some pain to prevent and eliminate the bigger pain. But government, they were actually fighting with their own people. Yeah. And these videos are 2-3 years old. All those people, they're upset because their homes are being renewed. And then now during that time, they have to go through some process, yes, but then it's going to be worth it, right? Mm-hmm. So some of these, community issues that we have, like when I see this impacts the way that people vote on the next mayor of their city. Mm-hmm. Because mm-hmm. if they're going to take their house and demolish it and then put a new one, right. And if they don't want to go through that 2-year process, then I see here, this is from Tokaköy, Istanbul. They actually finished all these homes, but then they have to start the new ones, but then they're again getting the pushback from their own people. So now, the one last thing that I want to share is, and because Istanbul is so big in a very small area, so what we have seen, like the area of almost Germany, there's like 12 to 13 million people. In a much smaller area, there are 16 million people.
Concentrated, yeah.
So, right, so this is, when I see this actually is recent, 2022 and 2023 budget is being cut off by 65% for the earthquake and the urban transformation. Now, because there's all this nostalgia, right? Like, oh, I love my old home. Well, don't, because you're going to die in it. So let the government do what they need to do. Oh, we have so many memories here. Well, yes, but it's time to move on. So if you are trying to make this so difficult, then we all have to take accountability. So government is not a different entity. Government consists of people like us. So they just choose to work in that section versus we are on this side. they do stuff on our behalf, but doesn't mean that you are giving up the full control. You need to take in charge of your life. So when all these projects are happening, and Istanbul is the big one where the devastation is going to be a lot more. One estimate is saying that close to 400,000 people may die. Well, it doesn't have to be 400,000, right? We know that we cannot eliminate the earthquake, but we can prevent the damage. We can reduce the damage. We can control the damage. So there are some politics in this, and people are saying, "Oh, the builders are making money from this transformation." Yes, but that's their job. They're going to make money from somewhere else. You need to focus on what you are getting, what you are gaining. So then we don't have these big devastations. Right now, everyone is trying to help. I was one of the first people in the limited, whatever we have. I was one of the first people who tried to reach out financially, but this is not something that we can actually afford long term. Right now, what's going to happen after this earthquake is even more devastating, because there are so many people, they lost their homes. You need to build new homes, do so much other things, and it's going to take so much time. Prevention is everything. So I know some people are going to listen to this and then they're going to curse. You know what? They can talk to the hand. But those who are smart, who would actually understand what I'm trying to say here, there's not much time to lose. We don't have time to lose. So we have to act now. Now, this is not limited with earthquake only. Another issue. You want to go to that?
Yeah, I was going to say, looking at a more closer, at least to the U.S. example we have was Hurricane Ian in Florida that hit not too long ago, and we saw that type of devastation with obviously the flooding, the high winds, and how the buildings that were built in those riskier areas along the coastline were just devastated. And one of the slides that I had in the deck, which you might see in a little bit, is the fact that Hurricane Ian caused the second largest insured loss on the record after Hurricane Katrina. So we see that those are two natural disasters of great magnitude. And Hurricane Ian here, the fact of between 50 billion and 65 billion in damages were recorded on that. And this is listed as a key takeaway on that article. The second bullet point on that article says, quote, urban development, wealth accumulation in disaster-prone areas, inflation and climate change are key factors at play. So that's literally what we've been talking about, the urban development, the fact that it's all concentrated in these high-risk areas that are prone to devastation. And it's almost like you're literally gambling financially with the cost of repair, but also with people's lives on the potential outcome if something were to happen. And we see that it does from time to time. Like, it's not that, oh, these are once in a century where something happened, we had a storm. There's many that come. So it's something to pay attention to, something we've been talking on, and something that you're saying you need to act now. That way, years down the road, the action that you put in now, the work that you put in now, dedicated, you'll see the benefits, you'll see the dividends come out in years from now down the road.
And the problem is we don't know when it's going to be back again. So, but what we know is that it will be back, right? And the hurricane, we have how many names we have for hurricanes, right? Katrina, Sandy, Irene.
And these are just the big ones that get our attention. There's other ones that still hit. There's other tropical storms that still do damage as well.
So the key point is we have to go back to the current situation, ideal state, and then what's the barrier that I can actually help to get to the ideal state. That is the barrier that we are in control, and that's the prevention. That's like better building, like being able to build better homes, being able to plan better, being able to follow the policies better. And that's how prevention is going to happen. So it's not just one thing. And every level of the society is responsible. So government is not God. And even God is sometimes, he has his own, whatever you want to call it, but there are all these issues. So things are happening. So we have to be in charge of our own lives, and we have to follow the policies and procedures in place. We have to plan and project better. And this is true for anything and everything that we do in life. So you can't just live randomly, day at a time. That doesn't happen. So we want to be better than where we are today. Now, when there's a flood in Pakistan in the next 6 months and 50,000 people dies, that's not an accident. We knew that was going to happen. So that's all we are trying to say.